Alrighty, so it's shortly after 7 o'clock on Tuesday, February 16th, 2021, and I'll call the meeting to order. And I'll ask if any members of council have a declaration of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof. Yep, Deputy Mayor Hendricks.
Yeah, with the time delegation at 7:50, Marge Hendricks. I have a conflict with that as I work there occasionally.
Okay, thank you. Okay, is there any other conflicts? Not seeing any. So we have the, actually, before we begin, I just want to say it's been an interesting last few days. You know, on Sunday we had Valentine's Day, and then yesterday we had Family Day, and hopefully everybody had a time to spend together with your families. And today we have Pancake Tuesday, as I like to call it, and hopefully everybody has had an opportunity to enjoy some pancakes for dinner. I always enjoy doing that on this day. And also, before we get into the minutes, I also want to formally welcome Morgan Calvert as our CAO for Adelaide Metcalfe on his first official day on the payroll for Adelaide Metcalfe. At County Council this afternoon, the warden, Kathy Burkhart-Justin, she gave a little farewell to Morgan and welcoming Chris Bailey into the position of the manager of ITS for the County of Middlesex. So Morgan, I know we didn't rehearse this before, but do you have anything you'd like to say at all?
To be honest, I'm just looking forward to moving forward. So.
Excellent. We're all happy you're here in the township. So we have the minutes of our previous meetings. So we have the minutes from January 27th, our budget meeting, February 1st, our regular meeting, February 3rd, budget meeting, and February 10th, our budget meeting. Is there any errors or omissions on those minutes? We've had quite a few meetings the last number of days. Councillor Clark.
Yeah, I was opposed to an item in closed session on February the 10th. That's all.
Okay. All right. Okay, with that, do you have a mover and seconder for those minutes? Councillor McKinnon and Deputy Mayor Hendricks. And just to be clear, just because I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that, Councillor Clark, do you understand what Sue's saying?
Yeah, and that's okay. It only affects the closed minutes, which we're not discussing tonight. These are only the open minutes.
Yeah, so when you come out of closed, in the minutes from closed, you say whatever. So, okay, move on.
So good.
Yep.
Okay, so all those in favor? Opposed? And that's carried. So for tonight's agenda, we have a number of delegation and timed events. So at 7:05, we have our committee of adjustment, and that's for a minor variance, and then followed by 7:20 as well. And then 7:35, we have Tony from Frank Cowan Insurance to do a presentation. And then at 7:50, we have Marge Hendricks from the Sydenham Ridge Estates. It's going to do a presentation to talk about her business that she's operating there. So with that, we have our correspondence. So the first items are our next meeting. So we have Monday, March 1st, followed by March 15th, which is also going to be when we hopefully approve our 2021 budget, and then Tuesday, April 6th. So moving into the recommended readings, we have the Middlesex London Board of Health update for January. Okay, the next one there is action required. Item number 2 is the resolution regarding CSWB plan extension request. I don't see anybody throwing their hand up. Deputy Mayor Hendricks?
Yeah, I would, I've heard at Roma, they pretty well said they're not granting any extensions, so I move to file.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll file all those, we'll follow that with number 1. Item number 3, resolution regarding advocacy for reform for MFIPA legislation. Any thoughts? Councillor McKinnon?
I would ask that we support that.
Okay, so you'd like to move that? Do you have a
I'll
second
move.
for that?
Yes.
Councillor Clark, are you moving that or seconding that? Okay. Any discussion at all? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed, and that's carried. And then the next one is item number 4, and it's a resolution regarding the Criminal Record and Municipal Elections Act.
I was for file.
Okay. All right, doesn't look like anybody's throwing their hand up for support. So we need to have a motion then to resolve that council receive and file items CC 1 and 2 and 4. Councillor McKinnon and Councillor Clark, all those in favor? And that's carried. All righty. So I think we're beyond 7:05, but that's all right. It's my understanding that for the Committee of Adjustment application A01 2021 is being withdrawn or deferred. So Jen, is it all right if we just wait to go into the Committee of Adjustment at 7:20? Yes, perfect. Okay, we're moving right along to item G, which is our staff reports. So we have our first one from our fire chief, Chief Nordoff.
Right, thank you. So this report is concerning an agreement called ARIS. So for many years, the township has been billing the MTO for calls to the 402 by the fire department in order to recoup the cost of this service so that wouldn't be paid by the taxpayers. Part of the invoicing done by staff required an incident report from the OPP. Until approximately a year ago, that was the practice, but then the OPP put a stop to being able to provide these incident reports due to confidentiality and privacy reasons. So in order to continue billing the MTO for this service, an MTO system access agreement needed to be applied for. This process started in late 2018, but was never completed. The clerk has since applied and has received approval for this agreement from the MTO, which will be followed by a bylaw to cover this, which we are seeking council's approval. So for this, there's a one-time administration fee of $250, as well as $14 fee for each license plate we need to access for the purpose of recovering costs through MTO. Cost for this will be in the fire department operating budget. Revenue received from the invoicing will go as revenue for the fire department, same as always. So the recommendation is resolve that council receive the MTO system access staff report as prepared by myself, and resolve that council approve the agreement with Ministry of Transportation and the Township of Adelaide Metcalfe regarding invoicing for emergency services, and that the CAO be authorized to sign the agreement and the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign the bylaw and the corporate seal be attached. And I'll answer any questions.
Thank you, Chief. Is there any questions at all for Aaron? I don't see anybody moving to unmute themselves. So we have the two motions that are in front of us. The first one is to receive that report. Okay, Councillor Brody and Deputy Mayor Hendricks. All those in favor? Opposed, and that's carried. And then the second one there is to have council approve the agreement and to allow the CIO to sign it and then the mayor and clerk to sign the bylaw. Councillor Clark and Councillor Brody, all those in favor? And that's carried. Okay, thank you, Aaron. Is there any questions at all for the fire department for Aaron at all? Okay, not seeing any. Okay, we'll move into the next staff report, which is from our Public Works Manager. And Coulter is on the phone there. You can't see a little square for him, but he's there. And before we hand it over to you, Coulter, I just want to say thank you to yourself and all the guys that were out there on the roads, clearing the roads for everybody to get to work or wherever they're going. There was a lot of snow out there, and I believe that we are going to probably get some more later on tonight. So if you can stay home, please do. Coulter.
Oh, thank you, Mayor Smith. Yes, the guys have been working hard, and they'll be at her again in the morning. So I have one report tonight. It's just regarding the backup generator replacement at the office. Morgan touched on this at the last budget meeting, but I'll just go through a little bit. 2 weeks ago, the backup generator at the office failed to turn on for its weekly test. The local company that does the annual inspection came out to investigate the problem. There were a few issues, one being the alternator. Parts and labor to get the generator back up and running was going to cost an estimated $3,500. Purchase a new one, it was going to cost $7,700. In discussion with the CAO, the requirement to have a working generator and the emergency nature of the purchase, it was decided to move forward with the replacement of the generator. In this case, because it's under $10,000, we didn't have to get quotes. However, we still used the emergency provision of the procurement policy for timely replacement of the generator. Just a little breakdown right there. The financial impact will be $7,700 minus the return for the old generator. We are going to get some money back for it. They're going to use it for parts. The cost will be reflected in the administration budget for 2021. Recommendation would be resolved that council accept the backup generator replacement report prepared by the Public Works Manager.
Great, thank you, Coulter. Is there any questions at all? Councillor Clark?
How old is that generator, the current one that malfunctioned?
It's 12 years old, Councillor Clark.
Okay, thanks.
All right, is there any other questions at all? Okay, seeing none, thank you for the report, Coulter. And we need to have a motion to receive that report. Okay, Councillor McKinnon and Councillor Clark, all those in favor, and that's carried. Still lots of time before the first timed event. So we'll move on to the Clerks Report. Jennifer.
Thanks, Mayor Smith. My first report is regarding Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act, and it's regarding delegating authority to the clerk as head. So each municipal organization is required to appoint a head who is responsible for overseeing the administration of the legislation within the institution and for decisions under the legislation. And many municipalities have their city council bylaw that designates the mayor or council as the head, who in turn delegates the powers and the duties of the head to the senior administrative officer, which is normally the municipal clerk. The clerk forms access and privacy procedures for use by staff and is responsible for processing all access requests and gives direction to staff on informal information requests and implements privacy protection practices. The MFIP applies to all local government organizations, including municipalities, school boards, public utilities, transit and police commissions, fire departments, conservation authorities, boards of health, and other local boards. And there are separate acts that apply specifically to provincial ministries, agencies, and federal government institutions. MFIPA came into effect January 1st of 91 and required municipal institutions to protect the privacy of an individual's personal information existing in government records. And the act requires a privacy protection scheme where the government must follow to protect an individual's right to privacy. And the scheme includes rules regarding the collection, use, disclosure, and disposal of personal information and the custody and control of a municipal institution. The act also gives individuals the right to access municipal government information, including most general records and records containing their own personal information, subject to very specific and limited exemptions. And as well, the act provides individuals with the right to request a correction of their personal information, which they believe to be false or inaccurate, and or to attach a statement of disagreement to their records. And individuals also provide with the opportunity to request an independent review from the Information and Privacy Commissioner of Ontario of the decisions made under MFEPA by the head of an institution. The legislation also stipulates that an institution must provide the requester with the information and/or a decision regarding their request within 30 calendar days from the date of a complete request that's received. And on occasion, an institution may ask for an extension. And if the request is for an extensive number of records and/or if an outside consultant needs to be contacted. To increase operational efficiency and customer service to the residents of the township, FOI requests have been handled with a lot more scrutiny regarding security measures of handling out any information to anyone under the clerk's direction. There is no financial impact to this report. It's just to give council a heads up that we are dealing with more FOI requests because of the change in processes in the office. And I've provided some websites on where some information that came forth for this report. And my recommendation is that council receives this report. And then my other recommendation there is resolve that council adopt the following resolution delegating the powers of council to the clerk for the purposes of MFEPA.
Okay, thank you, Jen. Is there any questions at all? Okay, seeing none. Oh, Deputy Mayor Hendricks.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, until now, how have we been handling these requests? Is it different than what we're formalizing here?
Yep, through Mayor Smith to Deputy Mayor Hendricks, it is. There hasn't been a process followed, and we've just been handling out information just at the whim of a request, which we have to be very careful when we do that. Once we have the information in the office, it's under the care and control of the municipality. So it should be going through FOI requests, which hadn't been getting done in the past. So going forward, that has been happening since we had one in March of 2020, but more frequent in June of 2020 was when that started.
Okay. Is there any other questions at all? Okay, seeing none, so we have the recommendation in front of us. So we have a mover and seconder for that. Okay, Deputy Mayor Hendricks and Councillor McKinnon. All those in favor? Opposed, and that's carried. We're going to adjustment. That's okay. My internet's unstable.
Count to 10.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yeah, much better.
you're not
Okay.
cutting out.
Okay, got it. We're going to go into the Committee of Adjustment. So we need to have a
Curtis,
motion.
can we do the motion 14 first? That's to adopt the bylaw. Just to finish that talk.
Oh, sorry. I thought that was all together, but now I see that's not. So we'll
No,
get that other one,
yeah.
which is the resolution to delegate the power of council to the clerk. That's that motion. So Councillor Clark and Councillor McKinnon, all those in favor? And that's carried. All right. Everybody is moving slowly on my screen, so I hope that I'm coming in clear. Okay.
So far.
So we need a motion to resolve that council convene as the Committee of Adjustment for the purpose of hearing minor variance application A01-2021 for Susan Boersma at 3261 Mulberry Drive, and then minor variance application A02-2021 at 9195 Townsend Line, and that's at 721. Okay, Deputy Mayor Hendricks and Councillor Brody, all those in favor? And that's carried. And before we get into that first application, I will say that the purpose of the following public hearings for Adelaide Metcalfe Council or Committee of Adjustment are to hear are to give the members of the Committee of Adjustment, as well as the general public, an opportunity to hear all interested persons with respect to the applications before the committee this evening. The public is advised that comments expressed in written material presented are a matter of public record available for full disclosure. If a person or public body files an appeal of decision made this evening to the local planning appeal tribunal without having made a written submission to the committee, the tribunal may dismiss the appeal. If you wish to be notified of the decision, please contact Jennifer Turk, our clerk, by email or call the office. And as always, I have a whole spiel about why we're on Zoom, and it's going to be live on YouTube and everything else. But I think we're practically a year into this whole Zoom thing, and I think everybody understands how that works, and that's due to COVID-19. So I'm going to hand it over to Stephanie, and we're going to talk about that first one, which is A01 2021, and I understand that it's going to be deferred. Is that correct?
Yeah, so through the mayor, subsequent to writing the planning report, which is included on the agenda, the applicant and myself have been in contact, and we're looking to work towards a solution that may meet the accessory building standards. So they're looking to, instead of the proposed location that you would have in front of you, they're looking to remove the existing accessory structure that's on the property today and push back the proposed structure so that it's located in the side yard as opposed to the front yard. So staff, as well as our new CBO, will be reviewing a revised sketch to evaluate against our zoning bylaw policies. And then we'll make a determination as to whether or not a variance is required.
Okay, thank you, Stephanie. So is there any questions at all, Stephanie, about that? Councilor McKinnon?
Through you, Mayor Curtis, to Stephanie. Stephanie, on the map that they gave showing the location of the septic system, they don't show where the weeping tile goes. And I wonder if that could be included to show if it goes to the back or off to the side of the property.
Sure, yep. Thank you. I'll make note of that.
Okay, thank you. And then there's in the corner, it says for the cutty drain, but the drainage superintendent didn't say that the cutty drain was there. And I'm just wondering if it was missed, or could he just recheck that and make sure that there isn't a cutty drain at the back of the property there?
Yep, he'll be recirculated again through the Planning Act process, so we can have that reviewed.
Okay, thanks, Stephanie.
Okay, excellent. So we do need to have a motion to defer that, and that will be deferred until the application is revised and really if it's needed. So do we have a mover and second to defer? We have Deputy Mayor Hendricks and Councillor Brody. All those in favor? Opposed, and that's carried. All right, so we have the next application that's in front of us, and it's a minor variance. It's A02 2021, and we have Ryan Thomas here, our new county IT support person. I'm not sure what happened to Greg, but here's Ryan with us. So is there anybody, is Mark or Lisa joining us? Is anybody joining us, Jen?
No, they didn't register. They did get the link, but I'm not seeing them in the attendees listing either.
I don't see that either. All righty. So I guess, Stephanie, if you'd like to go through that report.
Absolutely. Yep, I'm just going to share my screen with you. Oh, Morgan, could you please provide me access, or Jen?
Yeah, 1 sec, sorry. Should be good to go.
All right, thank you. So the purpose of this application is in relation to a front yard setback of an addition onto an existing greenhouse / garden center. More specifically, the owner is proposing to build a 3 meter squared or 32 square feet addition to the storefront portion of the existing business with a front yard setback of 22 meters or 72 feet, whereas a front yard setback of 30 meters or 98 feet is required. And it is noted that the existing building has a front yard setback of approximately 23 meters or 75 feet. So they're looking to expand approximately 1 meter or 3 feet in front of the current building. The subject lands are approximately 3 acres in size and contain commercial greenhouses, a retail store, a single detached dwelling, and a detached garage. The lands are serviced by municipal water, a private septic system, and have existing entrances onto Townsend Line. And the surrounding uses are predominantly agriculture in nature. Staff have evaluated the minor variance in accordance to the 4 tests of a minor variance and have determined that it is considered to be minor in nature. It is considered to be appropriate for the use of the land, and it maintains consistency and meets the general intent of the official plan and zoning bylaw. The notice was circulated in accordance to the requirements of the Planning Act, and we did receive the following comments. So our Adelaide Metcalfe Drainage Superintendent has no concerns. The county engineer has no comments. Asabo Bayfield Conservation Authority has identified that the property is not regulated and that they don't have any concerns. And St. Clair Region Conservation Authority has noted that the subject lands are located outside of their jurisdiction. So it is recommended that the application be granted. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Stephanie. Is there any questions or comments from the Committee of Adjustment? Okay, seeing none. And nobody has just joined us in that last little bit. I don't see them on the attendees list for this application. So at this time, we do need to take that 5-minute recess to allow anybody that's watching live on YouTube to be able to join us if there's any comments at all. So I believe Ryan will be throwing up that 5-minute presentation and it'll have the information on there how to join us. Ryan, if you push play on that PowerPoint, it'll nicely go through and it'll take you 5 minutes to go through it. Well, folks, I think we're stuck on this page for the next 5 minutes. I assume Ryan's left the, the computer, maybe got himself a drink of water, and he'll come back.
Sorry, it is playing. I guess maybe it's the. Let me try and reshare it here. There we go.
There we go. Thank you. Alrighty, so did anybody join us? Email it, none.
No.
Alrighty. So is there any questions at all that the Committee of Adjustment thought of during that 5-minute recess? Likely not. So we have the recommendation there, and that is to grant the application. So do we have a mover and a seconder for that recommendation? Councillor Brody and Councillor McKinnon. All those in favor? And that's carried. All right, so we need to resolve that Council adjourn the Committee of Adjustment for the purpose of hearing minor variance application A01 and A02 of 2021 at 7:35.
Hey, guys.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much, Stephanie.
Thanks, Steph.
All right, so we need a mover and a seconder. Okay, Councillor Clark and Deputy Mayor Hendricks. All those in favor? And that's carried. Alrighty, so with that, that's actually perfect timing because our next delegation is Frank Cowan Insurance and HMS Insurance. We have Tony and Catherine here, and I saw them in the attendees list, so we'll just pop them in.
Should be on the way in.
There we go. Okay, Tony and Catherine, are you able to hear us?
Testing 1, 2, 3.
There we go. Excellent. So
Hello,
I don't know
Mayor
who.
Smith, good to see you.
It's good to see you as well. Not sure who to hand it over to. I'm assuming Tony, you're taking the lead.
Yes, I will be doing majority of the talking. Lucky for you folks.
Excellent.
All right. Thank you very much, Mayor Smith. Always a pleasure to address Adelaide Metcalfe. And hopefully the rest of you didn't have to deal with what I had to deal with this morning. My pull cord on my snowblower snapped. So it took me half an hour to get the stupid rope through the hole again. And anyways, lesson learned. You need to take better care of your equipment. So I'm here today to address council in the sense of your insurance renewal and 2021 specifically. I've addressed this council before and I've reviewed the various policies. But just to give everyone a quick refresher, there's about a dozen different insurance policies that the municipality purchases on an annual basis. And Mayor, for today's focus, I just want to talk about why the rates are going up, because for the past 6 months, majority of the council meetings I've done, our discussion always evolves around the cost. So I'm going to basically go right into it and talk about why every municipality is seeing municipal rate increases. And it should take me about 5 minutes to go through my notes because I want to leave enough time for questions. Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. So there are basically 3 main reasons why, at least what I believe, why municipal insurance rates are increasing. And the number one reason is the continued escalation of costs through insurance claims. And this is a global issue affecting all insurance companies. Things just cost more, parts, labor, everything in general. There is a continuing trend that shows that we as a society have become more litigious and demonstrate less personable accountability, resulting in a higher frequency and severity of insurance claims. In response, judges have awarded more contributory negligence to municipality versus plaintiffs. Damage awards are substantial. A number of years ago, it was alarming to hear about a $5 million liability reward. Today, larger awards are much more frequent. Court awards for severe bodily injury claims have increased dramatically in the last 10 years. Claims that may have settled for $5 million 10 years ago are now settling between $12 to $18 million. These awards are primarily driven by the cost of providing future care costs for catastrophically injured plaintiffs. Municipalities have a large exposure for this type of risk and size of damage awards and are currently feeling the impact through the cost of insurance. The cost of defending a claim is going up. Individual claims are much more complex to defend, resulting in more time to manage the claim with more detailed investigations, more experts, and more legal time involved in the process, again at increasing rates. Property losses are much more frequent and severe. Climate change has resulted in a massive increase in property-related losses. Regardless of whether that has impacted the municipality directly, the escalation in the cost of those claims have increased both property and reinsurance rates worldwide. Insurers have statistically seen more weather-related losses than ever before. So regardless if you believe in climate change or not, I can tell you that the insurers do. Between 2009 and 2019, the national severe weather losses across the country averaged $1.9 billion. In the decades before that, between 1983 and 2008, the average yearly total for severe weather events was 422 million. It's a huge difference in just a 10-year gap that the insurers are looking at. The next point I'm bringing up here is joint and several liability. Still a significant concern for municipalities in Ontario. The Association of Municipalities of Ontario have created a number of working groups over the years with the goal of reforming this law. There's actually a resolution being passed around the province as we speak. I've seen it at quite a few municipal meetings. And as the severity of awards increases, so does the exposure to those who have deep pockets. Although AMO's initiatives have not generated change, there has been an increased awareness, and the Frank Cowan Company will continue to assist the municipal sector in lobbying for relief. Mayor, you may be aware, but maybe not council, but Frank Cowan Company is the only insurance company that is financially supporting this motive. And we have for years, at least since I've been with the company. And I think the point of my first note is that joint and several liability isn't the only reason why municipal insurance rates are going up. We have an increase of property related losses, and the cost of the average liability lawsuit claim has also skyrocketed. My second point I wanted to bring up is low interest rates. Insurers have always used premiums collected to invest those funds in order to help offset claim losses. We are now over a decade of historical low interest rates. This is great if you're borrowing money, but not good if you're investing. This has produced very poor results and very little to zero return on those investments. Combine this with cost claims escalating faster than the inflation rate, insurers have been forced into further rate increases. And then my final reason is the backlog within the courts. I don't think many people are really talking about this, but it has really affected our ability to close liability claims. The longer an insurance claim is open, the more it would typically cost. With COVID, the court shut down just like everything else, and with a system that was already backlogged. So add further delays with the second wave, and now that we're just coming out of another lockdown, claims that should have been settled within the year are now being dragged out even longer, which brings me back to my first point about the cost of the average liability claim being increased. So like I said, Mayor Smith, I believe these are the main reasons affecting municipal insurance rates, specifically over the last 18 months. And just for a historical look back, the last time the insurance industry seen insurance companies adjust rates of this magnitude was in the early 2000s. So it's been over 20 years since we've seen the last hard market. And anytime you hear an insurance person say a hard market, it simply means that insurers across the country have completely lost their appetite for risk, and they are becoming much more strict, and they are providing either more exclusions or increasing rates or doing whatever they can to help offset a majority of their losses. In conclusion, this is my final point here. I think a solution to go forward is to continue to migrate losses. And this is simply done through risk management. And your staff already do a great job. If there's a new contract or agreement, or if there's a situation, they already reach out to us and get our feedback. But I think what's important for council to realize is if you guys are doing any new projects, if you're doing anything new, somebody needs to ask, hey, what are our liability implications? How is this going to affect insurance? Maybe we should get a comment from either Catherine or Tony and really try to understand if this is going to affect our insurance going down the road. And if you can continue with that kind of mindset, and if you can prevent insurance claims from even coming into your office, you're only going to put yourself in a better position down the road. And that's something that I think council should be made aware of, because your rate increase for 2021 is 1/3 of what most every other municipality is facing. The current trend right now for municipal rate increases is around 30%. And the township is, my notes here indicate about 14%. So it's half. It's half, not 1/3. So I think that's excellent. And that goes to the fact that you guys are preventing claims from coming in, and your staff are proactive, and like you guys are already seeing the benefit of that. So I kind of want to end on a good note there, but of course I want to leave enough time for any questions.
Okay, thank you so much, Tony. Is there any questions at all? Okay, Councillor McKinnon.
Through you, Mayor Curtis, to Tony. Tony, not being of the insurance business, could you explain under your summary of coverage, and it's under property, it's fire or police department service charges? I just wondered why that was there and what, give us an example of what that covers.
Okay, through you, Mayor, it's a great question. Thank you. And yeah, I believe it was 2 years ago, we've implemented a bunch of sublimits on the property policy. But for the fire department charges, I believe it's resulting from some municipalities charge when their fire department is responding outside of their jurisdiction. So let's say Adelaide Metcalfe Fire responds to somewhere within Strathroy, or vice versa. The fire department from the other municipality will bill the property owner who's outside of their boundaries for those costs. And those costs get forwarded to the insurance company if, of course, it's a covered insurance loss. So we're just clarifying that those types of losses are covered.
Okay, thanks for that. And on that same page, you have furs and jewelry, and you cover up to $25,000. And I just wondered why that would be there.
Again, through you, Mayor, it's a standard sublimit, meaning that is the minimum amount that every municipality starts with on our municipal property program. And it would cover any specific jewelry that, say, our wordship would wear when he's at events or that sort of thing. And forgive me if I'm wrong, there's a certain chain that some mayors wear, and
chain of office. Yeah.
Chain of office. Thank you very much, Councillor. So that's exactly what that would cover.
Okay. And my last question to you, Tony, is on the under the public entity extension endorsement, you have growing plants. Is that for marijuana, like our legal marijuana nurseries or greenhouses?
I wasn't aware that the municipality was growing marijuana for sale.
No, we're not.
No, that would be.
But we do have.
That would be for your own property. So for if you have some municipalities, especially in front of their city halls and that sort of thing, they have ornamental plants or very high valued plants and that sort of thing.
Okay.
So again, yeah, that's what that would
Okay. It's not for greenhouses in our jurisdiction. Okay. Thanks, Tony.
You're welcome.
Oh, Councillor McKinnon, you get me every time. Councillor Clark.
Through Curtis to Tony, I'm very familiar with the insurance industry, so I get everything you're saying. I was just curious about one point you brought up in your explanation of fee increases. And you mentioned that interest rates were low. So does Frank Cowan have an investment policy statement that says you can only invest in bonds and interest-bearing instruments?
Very good question. I'm not sure. That is above my pay grade. I'd have to get back to you.
You brought it up, so that's why I'm addressing it. Because most insurance companies, they have a mixed portfolio, especially one of your size, and returns have gone up about 25% in the last year. So that's why I just was curious why you mentioned that.
Is there any other questions at all? Okay, seeing none. The one thing that did come to mind, Tony, so at our last meeting, we were talking about the off-road vehicles being on municipal road allowances. And as you know, the province of Ontario, they changed that January 1st of this year. So our council, we decided not to go forward with a bylaw to prohibit off-road vehicles being on those roads. Is that going to change anything for our insurance policy? Or is that something that we should look at again? I was just wondering what that would look like in comparison to a municipality that does enact a bylaw.
Great question, Mayor Smith. And the only effect you could potentially see is if all of a sudden there's an increase in claim activity. So if all of a sudden we start seeing some liability lawsuits that are generated resulting from ATV use on your roads, then we could see an increase in your liability premium. But other than that, no, there's no direct effect to the insurance program.
That's good to hear. Excellent. Okay, thank you so much, Tony. And there's no other questions at all. We'll let you go. And it's always good seeing you. And hopefully one day soon we'll see you at an AMO conference or Good Roads conference or something in the future when we can actually get together in person.
I hope so. I really do. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Good night.
Right.
Night. These delegations are coming in a perfect time because it's 7:50. So our next delegation there, which is Marge Hendricks for Sydenham Ridge Estates at 1425 Melwood Drive. So we'll get her added in here. And before we do that, I just wanted to hand over to Morgan.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before we get into our delegation, I just wanted to frame this one a little bit and take a moment to mention that Marge is here to present to council on the general operations of Sydenham Ridge Estates. She will be the only one to present and has 15 minutes to present to council. Opportunity for council, of course, to ask any questions with regard to this delegation. This is really why I wanted to clarify this one. This is not a planning meeting. It's not where council will be considering the OPA or the zoning bylaw amendment that is on a previous council meeting. So the clerk, Jen Turk, will end up circulating notice for the next time we have a planning meeting with regard to the Sydenham Ridge Estates OPA and ZBA. And then I believe that meeting is likely for March 15th. But I'll pass it over to you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Morgan. And Marge, I see you're added on here. Are you able to hear us?
Hello, Mr. Mayor. I am here.
Excellent.
Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, and before I hand it over to you for your presentation, I'm going to ask Morgan, Deputy Mayor Hendricks, she declared a conflict. So if we can throw her into the attendees list. Is that where you're trying to get, Marianne?
So I know it shows her picture there, but.
Oh, there it goes. Okay.
It's moved over, yeah.
Okay, excellent. So Marge, I'll hand it over to you. We did receive that package and it's also on the website here. So I'll hand it over to you for your presentation.
So I don't really have a lot to say, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I just didn't want to present that information without having an opportunity to speak to it. Just basically want to say, you know, we're moving forward with our rezoning. We're working toward finishing our site plan. You know, and we just, and I know that in March we will be seen and, you know, moving forward with our rezoning then. Just wanting to ask if there's anything more that you need from us. And if so, you know, we're happy to present it. Just hoping that we can move this forward as quickly as possible.
Okay, thank you, Marge. I'm sure that the planning staff has been in contact with you and also our municipal staff as well in regards to what we're looking for the next planning meeting. However, is there any questions at all from members of council then for Marge on the operations of this business? Councillor Clark?
Yes, Marge, I just have a question for you. At the last time that it was brought before council, the planner had discussed other venues somewhere else in Ontario where they had put, excuse me, soundproofing in the walls. And is that anything that you've investigated?
Thank you, Councillor Clark. We have investigated that, and we have actually installed sound mitigation equipment in the barn. We have learned that actually drywall is really good at minimizing sound as well. And, you know, I mean, if we had known that sooner, we probably would have done that. We do have insulation in the barn. So we are aware, but that again would require more, you know, renovations to the barn. We do have hopes to make some changes to the barn, but that obviously is in the future.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Is there any other questions from council at all? Okay. Councilor Penny just said no. Councilor Brody? Yep.
Yeah, I just want to, through Mayor Smith to Marge, just make sure that you're in contact with our office and the planner and everything to hopefully get this moved through on the next council meeting, because we don't want any more surprises on either on our end or your end to in case something isn't done in time, because it just keeps getting delayed and delayed and delayed. So I would just hope that everybody's in contact with everybody so that there's no more surprises.
Okay. Thank you, Councilor Brody. I don't think there's any other questions at all from members of council. Marge, do you have anything in addition that you'd like to say at all?
Only that I agree with Councillor Brody, and that's the purpose of presenting tonight. Just if there's anything more that we could be doing, please let us know. And of course, through staff, we will you know, make our best efforts to get this moving forward in March.
Okay. Excellent. And I know, Morgan, you have your hand up there. I know that Morgan and I think Stephanie and maybe somebody else has met with yourself and your planner not too long ago, kind of going through what the next steps are as to what they're looking for. But I'll hand it over to Morgan just for a wrap up on this.
Yeah, I just, you know, Marge mentioned the site plan control process. So I just wanted to mention that really once we get through the OPA and the ZBA, the zoning bylaw amendment, then we'll be looking to go through that site plan control process. And really what ends up spitting out of that process is a site plan agreement where we look at things like traffic management, emergency access, accessibility of the business under the AODA or various acts, compliance with the Building Code Act, of course. We've gotten assurances from Sydenham Estates that everybody will be working towards that site plan agreement through a discussion that we had last week with the planners. So really, once we get through the Planning Act, or the planning meeting on March 15th, then we'll be going through site plan control. And then we take that document, we compare what has resulted of that document against how the land is being used today. You know, Marge made a point about drywall, for example. So that could end up being part of that site plan control agreement to help mitigate noise. So we'll have to look at some of those things as well. That's it.
Thank you, Morgan. Councilor Clark, do you have a question or comment?
Yeah, just to follow up on Morgan's comment there. So I know when you do renovations and you have 2 units, you use resilient channel in between and you use the beefier fire coated drywall. So is that what you're proposing, Morgan? Or is it you just saying that that's a possibility?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councilor Clark, it's a possibility. I'm not a noise expert by any means, but we'll have to look at what some of those comments come back through a circulation process. And it could mean something like that. I'm not quite sure what that is, to be honest. But again, other noise mitigation things that might not already otherwise be on the property that align with other farm venues is what we'll really be looking at.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Doesn't look like there's any other questions. So Marge, do you have anything in addition that you'd like to say before we move on to the next item on our agenda?
Just thank you for allowing me to speak tonight, and I look forward to our meeting in March.
Okay, excellent. I believe that date is March 15th. Is that correct? Yeah, excellent. So we'll see you then.
Very good.
Okay, take care.
Thank you.
All right, and Jen, I was looking through our motions Word document, and we don't have any motions for either that last delegation or the one before.
No, there's none needed. Thank you.
Excellent. Alrighty, so that's the end of our delegations, and we need to get our deputy mayor back into here. I realized that the squares got a lot larger. There we go. So Deputy Mayor Hendricks is back. So we're going to move on to our next staff report, and we're going to continue on with the clerk's report, which is really the acting treasurer's report.
Thanks, Mayor Smith. So yeah, this is the accounts payable listing from January 27th to February 10th in the amount of $147,872.02. 18 checks at $56,769.31. Pre-authorized payment at $13,490.66. And electronic funds transfer $77,612.05. If council does have any questions regarding the accounts payable, I don't have them in front of me today as I was not able to get to the office, but if you want to send me an email, I can respond as to what they are, unless I know off the top of my head, or if Coulter does, if it's a public works question.
Deputy Mayor Hendricks, did you have a question that we can maybe?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that our clerk can answer this question. I see there's a data fix for the voter view program. Is that for the election stuff for next year?
Yeah, so through Mayor Smith to Deputy Mayor Hendricks, in 2019, council approved an agreement to move forward with data fix for the 2022 election. So that's what that is for.
Okay. Is there any other questions at all? Seeing none, so we need to have a motion to resolve that council received the invoice payment approval report as presented by the clerk acting treasurer, and the council approved the account listings for the January 27th to February 10th, 2021 in the amount of $147,872.02. Okay, Councillor Brody and Deputy Mayor Hendricks, all those in favor? And that's carried. Okay. Okay, thank you, Jen, and I'll hand it over to Morgan on your first official CAO report.
You took my line from me. So thank
right.
you, Mr. Mayor, through you to council. This is my first official CAO report, and it's really around audit services. So as council knows, we have to have an audit done annually, and every 5 years we have to appoint an auditor. In 2020, it was identified that we would plan to undertake a request for proposal for auditor services. Unfortunately, given the challenges in 2020, the township was unable to develop and release the RFP in a timely manner. So what we're really looking to do is we're on track to release this RFP over the summer. We would like to secure Graham Scott Ends for one additional year to complete the 2020 audit and FIR submission. The proposal came back a little higher than what we're used to, and this is because they're well aware of some of the challenges that we've had throughout 2020. We've had an acting treasurer, we lost a CAO treasurer, we've gone through the 2019 financial audit, so really it was just in anticipation of a potential extra cost to dig into some different audit questions. However, if we hire our treasurer, which is we're well on our way to do, and we can get staff more involved, we should be able to balance or reduce those costs. So really, it's just a budgetary number at this time, because I believe Councillor Clark asked why the budget was higher from previous years, and it was really due to those changes that we saw in 2020. And it was really just a proposal that they anticipate additional costs. But if they're not there, then they won't be expensed. So in saying that, there's a recommendation there. Resolve that council appoint Graham Scott Ends as municipal financial auditor for 2020 fiscal year to complete the core audit and the financial information return.
Okay, thank you, Morgan. Is there any questions at all? Not seeing any. So we have the two motions. The first one is just to receive that report. Councillor Brody and Deputy Mayor Hendricks. All those in favor? Opposed? And that's carried. And the second part there is resolved that council appoint Graham Scott Enns as the municipal financial auditor for 2020 fiscal year to complete the core audit and financial information return. Mover and seconder, Councillor McKinnon, Councillor Brody. Is there any further discussion on this at all?
Sorry, this is for the 2019.
This is for 2020. We just did 2019. This is for 2020. So this past,
Okay,
this next.
just confirming. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All those in favor? Opposed, and that's carried. All right. You can go ahead for the next one there, the joint building services update.
So through Mr. Mayor and to council, the Joint Building Services was formed in March of 2020. It was a collaborative shared service arrangement between Adelaide Metcalfe, Southwest Middlesex, and North Middlesex. Adelaide Metcalfe being the service provider. The mandate of the JBS is designed to deliver building and enforcement services under the Building Code Act. Through this arrangement, the Building Services Department started to take shape in June of 2020 within Adelaide Metcalfe. There have been some recent and significant changes, of course, to the JBS shared service that provided the JBS committee an opportunity to fully review the shared service arrangement. Through this review, a number of meetings were held among the JBS committee, as well as a number of options that were presented. And really what the JBS committee came down to is a recommendation for the 3 participating municipalities to attach to a greater shared service system out of Middlesex Centre. They're currently providing Luke and Biddulph with shared services, and they have a great building services team. So really given the changes to the JBS, it was just a good time to take the opportunity to understand the strengths, the challenges, and the opportunities regarding the provision and administration of the joint building service. With respect to the JBS committee's recommendation, it is also a recommendation from myself to attach to Middlesex Centre shared service system. They're a larger system that has been in place for quite some time and are very successful. They already provide building services to Luke and Biddulph. So of course, there are a number of conditions that we'll have to meet to attach to Middlesex Centre's system. All of which, or at least most of which, are conditions that were built under the joint building services anyway. For example, later in the agenda or even the next report, you'll see that we're looking to implement an electronic permitting system. That's one of the conditions of attaching to Middlesex Centre's system. We were going to do that anyway. It just provides a more efficient and effective service. And then really once the expanded service has been implemented with Middlesex Centre, then the Joint Building Services Committee will dissolve. Before it dissolves, we'll reconcile any outstanding projects or costs or shared costs. The financial impact with regard to this move, the JBS is currently undertaking a collaborative fee study that will be completed to ensure the Building Services Department remains user pay and cost recovery. This fee study will be expensed through the JBS as it is today. The cost is anticipated to be between $10,000 and $15,000, and that'll be split evenly across North Middlesex, Southwest Middlesex, and Adelaide Metcalfe. We do not anticipate a cost increase to the provision of Middlesex Centre shared building services. We actually anticipate a decrease than what's already been budgeted for in the 2021 budget. And I guess at this time, I'm just looking to have council receive this report and provide council an opportunity to ask any questions or discussion.
Okay, thank you, Morgan. Is there any questions at all from members of council? Councilor Brody.
Through you, of course, to Morgan. So basically, this is starting today, right? For our constituents, we will be looked after for any building requests right away, correct?
Yeah, the transition will absolutely be seamless, particularly for our development community and residents who are looking to build things.
Okay, yep, go ahead.
And then just one other comment. So we will have one member of staff fully trained on this e-permitting program. So when people, if they have a few hiccups with it, that they can talk to our township, our employees to look after us, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I was actually, sorry, through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councilor Brody. I was actually talking to our customer service folks in the township this morning about it. We're really looking to where the e-permitting process is really going to exist. It's going to be between the township and Middlesex Center, where we're going to create our own customer service focused process for those that are, for our patrons or our users that are going to be accessing the system. So really what I mean there is we're almost going to be acting like a bank teller at a bank institution, where we help navigate that front end, go as far as even submitting the building permit application, showing folks how to use the system, taking phone calls or otherwise, and then letting the system do its thing in the back end. So absolutely customer service approach so that our residents and businesses and development community can access the system.
Okay. Is there any other questions at all for Morgan? Oh, yep, you have a follow-up.
Yeah, just one other question. So are we going to see multiple inspectors, or are they going to basically try to have one focused on Adelaide Metcalfe so everybody's familiar with one person, not multiple persons?
Yep, so the discussion has been very much like how the JVS was formed, where we'll have a primary building inspector assigned to Adelaide Metcalfe area. The only time that we'll see a different face is vacation, sick, or otherwise taking time off.
Okay.
Okay. The way, just to go off of that, the way I was kind of looking at this is that the building inspector is, you know, a similar situation to our planners, where the planner, the local planners are, you know, they come from the county of Middlesex, but Stephanie is our planner for this, you know, these 12 months while Aaron Bash is off on mat leave. So we all always have that, you know, that one main inspector. And then just like as Morgan said, if somebody's on vacation or whatever it is, then they would be jumping in just for that day or that week or whatever it is. Yep, Councilor Brody?
I just like to throw in one more comment of, I hope that they have a very customer focused approach and not a we're the ruler of the roost approach, if you know what I mean. I think we need that around here these days.
Yep, Morgan?
Mr. Mayor, through you to Councilor Brody, the CBO, Arnie from Middlesex Center and I had a really good discussion about balancing very much that within the township. They take a customer-friendly approach. It's not so much a rule the roost type of perspective. So Arnie is right on board with that type of customer-first service-based approach.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, if there's no other questions at all from members of council, we have the recommendation there, which is just to receive this report as information. Okay, Councillor Clark and Deputy Mayor Hendricks, all those in favor? Opposed, and that's carried. And then the third one there, which bounces off of this report, Morgan.
Yeah, so thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you to council. Very much a segue into this report from the previous. Municipalities are looking at digitally transforming municipal services. This just allows us to better respond to the way in which citizens, business, and visitors wish to interact with government services. Now, I used the banking analogy earlier, and I'll use it again almost every time. The banking industry is almost a mirror of municipalities in that, you know, they've gone fully digital on the back end and within their control. They can train employees to use the system, but they still have bank tellers that are helping folks navigate the digital system. So that's very much the same type of approach that we will take. We will have that front end teller helping folks navigate the system and learn it. They can call in and ask questions. We'll even do it for them if we need to. But really what we're looking to do is transform our e-permitting system. This is part of, I guess, a natural progression of municipal services. The province of Ontario has invested millions and millions of dollars into transforming municipal service delivery. And then, of course, one of the bigger priorities in Ontario, it seems, is to be looking at that building permit process and issuance. So really, we've looked at various digital platforms, even underneath the perspective of the Joint Building Services Committee. North Middlesex was already walking down the Avolta e-cloud permit process, and then Southwest Middlesex and Adelaide Metcalfe are going to attach to that at a later date. We're just looking to expedite this implementation so that we can meet those conditions that we spoke about by attaching to Middlesex Center's shared service system. So again, staff will be appropriately trained and aware of how to handle any questions resulting of permitting applications. And really, the financial impact of this is $9,000, which could be taken out of the building services reserve. And then any ongoing costs will need to be implemented into our building inspection budget. But again, it'll be factored in against that fee study where it is a user pay or a cost recovery system. So at the end of this, I recommend that council receive the report, but also approve the $9,000 electronic building permit software with Avolta for cloud permit, and that the funds be used from the building services reserve for the 2021 budget with subsequent costs to be incorporated into future budgets.
Thank you, Morgan. Is there any questions at all? Deputy Mayor Hendricks.
Yeah, is this something that could be paid for with modernization funds?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Deputy Mayor Hendricks, it absolutely could, but the Building Services Reserve Fund is a little bit more restricted in that the modernization funds are unconditional. So here we're just maximizing our envelopes or our opportunities. That's why the recommendation of using the Building Services Reserve.
Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Brody.
Yeah, that was my question too. So no, that's good.
So we have a couple motions here. So the first one is to receive the electronic building permit application processing report presented by the CAO. Okay, Councillor Clark, seconded by Deputy Mayor Hendricks. All those in favor? And that's carried. And then the second one is to approve the new software with Avolta. Okay, Councillor McKinnon and Councillor Brody, all those in favor? Opposed, and that's carried. Okay, thank you, Morgan. So we are now at the point of our agenda where it's other business. Is there anything from members of council? Yes.
Mayor Smith, can I get you to back up and do the motion to authorize the CAO to sign the Avolta agreement?
Yeah.
Thank you. Motion 21.
Motion 21. It was a one-liner. I didn't see it on my list there. So it's resolved that council authorized the CAO to sign the Avolta software agreement. Okay, Councillor McKinnon, Councillor Clark, all those in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you.
Okay. Not a problem. So other business, I don't know, Deputy Mayor Hendricks, I think you're participating in something coming up. I don't know if you want to let me know about that exciting trek you're going to be on. And hopefully it's not a snowy day.
No, I was really glad that it wasn't today, that I will, I'm participating in the coldest night of the year walk. So I reached my goal of more than $500 in pledges. So I will be walking 5 kilometers on Saturday. And if anybody gets the notion to sponsor me, it's you can go to the coldest night of the year website, go under Strathroy, and all the participants are listed there. But yeah, I don't know if I'm looking forward to it. I hope it isn't a day like today.
No. Yeah, hopefully not. And that's exciting that you reached your goal there. And I'll have to go and check it out to see how much more you're on there, above 500. So is there anything else for other business? Seeing none. So we'll jump into our bylaws. So we need to have Who did we lose?
Oh, I just had Ryan take off. He was done for the night.
Okay, got it. Sorry, we look like the Brady Bunch with the 9 squares. Resolved that all 3 readings be given to bylaw number 10 of 2021, which is the appoint the CBO and building inspectors from Middlesex Center. Bylaw number 11 of 2021, the Ministry of Transportation Agreement. Bylaw number 12 of 2021, appoint the bylaw enforcement officers for the Building Code Act. Bylaw number 13 of 2021, delegate the clerk as head of the MFIPA process. Bylaw number 14, the Volta agreement for the electronic building permit software. And finally, bylaw number 15 of 2021, confirm council proceedings and that the bylaws be signed by the mayor and clerk and have the corporate seal be attached. Mover and seconder. Councilor McKinnon and Councilor Brody. All those, do you have any questions? Deputy Mayor Hendrick.
I do. I see we're appointing the new building officials as bylaw enforcement. Do we still have the other company which we've hired for bylaw enforcement? So they will do other bylaws that aren't building related.
I believe that is correct. We'll hand over to Morgan.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, to Deputy Mayor Hendricks. The building services group will do property standards or structural issues under the Building Code Act, and then MEU will do any other bylaw that council wishes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, assuming Councilor Clark, that was your question as well. Okay, did I get a mover and seconder for that? I did. So all those in favor. And that's carried. And if that is it, we need to have a motion to adjourn at 8:21. Okay, Councilor Brody and Deputy Mayor Hendricks, all those in favor. And that's carried. Okay, thank you so much for joining in with us tonight. If you're watching live on YouTube or later on in the year